welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're taking a really fascinating look at a personality trait I know we all encounter on a pretty regular basis. And you know what? We're going to treat it just like a building. A building that we're about to inspect, analyze, and totally deconstruct. We're looking at the architecture of convicted ignorance. It's essentially an exploration of how certain minds are built and why some of these structures are way less stable than they might appear from the outside.
There's this brilliant saying, arrogance is ignorance with strong conviction. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely flips our usual perception, right? I mean, we often assume arrogant people are overbearing because they just know so much. But the source material actually points out that they're really just overestimating their own knowledge and understanding. Their immense confidence, it isn't built on facts at all. It's completely misplaced.
Which leads us to a pretty fascinating question. Why are the loudest voices often the least informed? Think about the people you interact with daily. Maybe it's that guy dominating a work meeting, a relative at a holiday dinner, or, that one extremely confident person in the comments section. Before we examine the foundation of this behavior, I want you to really question the true source of that loud, misplaced confidence. Why is the person speaking the most often the very one listening the least?
Part 1. The foundation. Genuine ignorance. So every building has to start at the bottom, right? And for arrogance, that base layer is surprisingly empty. We call this convicted ignorance. Basically, it's an overestimation of knowledge stemming from a complete lack of awareness of one's own limitations. Now, we aren't just talking about someone being momentarily wrong about some random trivia fact. No, this is a massive structural blind spot. The arrogant individual is entirely unaware of the actual complexities of the issue at hand. They literally don't know what they don't know. And that emptiness, well, that's what their whole attitude is built upon.
And this foundational emptiness specifically means missing out on the diverse viewpoints that make up reality. When your foundation is genuine ignorance, you aren't just missing a few pieces of data. The complex, multi-layered world is completely reduced down to a single, oversimplified viewpoint.
Part 2. The facade. Strong conviction.
Okay, let's dive into this. Moving up from that empty foundation, we hit the exterior. On one side, we have strong conviction and overconfidence, and on the other, underlying insecurities and lack of knowledge. And this brilliantly illustrates how the loud, intimidating mask of certainty operates to hide an incredibly weak foundation from the rest of the world. It is desperately trying to compensate for those fragile insecurities underneath. So that overconfidence, it isn't proof of expertise at all. It's honestly a structural necessity just to keep the facade from collapsing.
This facade effectively becomes a mask, blocking out alternative viewpoints. The strong conviction acts as this heavy, defensive exterior shield, and it's not just there for show either. It actively prevents the individual from ever considering alternative ideas. The mask protects the insecure foundation by simply deflecting anything that might challenge it.
Part 3. The trap. Closed-mindedness. But here's the thing. There's a serious design flaw here. What starts as a defensive facade quickly becomes a prison. Let's look at how this builds, step by tragic step. Step 1, they become completely certain of their own position. Step 2, because they're so certain, they dismiss any contradicting evidence and arguments. Step 3, this cycle completely hinders personal growth and learning. It's a logical, honestly inevitable progression. The walls of certainty go up, contradicting evidence gets thrown right out the window, and all personal human development just stops.
Ultimately, it is a totally self-defeating trait, obscuring critical thinking. This internal closed-mindedness is a massive, self-defeating design flaw. By shutting out evidence and holding tightly to conviction without actual knowledge, the structure completely shuts down critical thinking. The building might appear super secure from the outside, but trust me, the lights are entirely off inside.
Part 4. The neighborhood. Interpersonal impact. Because as we know, a building like this doesn't exist in a vacuum. Consider the collateral damage it does to everyone working and living right around it. Arrogant behavior damages relationships. It hinders collaboration. It creates a completely hostile environment. It intimidates others, and it undervalues peers. When someone operates from a place of convicted ignorance, they basically act like a wrecking ball to teamwork. It breeds hostility instead of harmony, making it virtually impossible to build anything constructive together.
Let's just pause on this thought for a second, making others feel intimidated and undervalued. Really think about a time when you were in the room with this kind of overconfidence. Reflect on how it felt to be undervalued or spoken over by someone whose certainty far, far outweighed their actual knowledge. The human cost of this architectural flaw is very real, and it consistently leaves the people around them feeling incredibly small.
So, we naturally arrive at this vital question. How do we actually dismantle this trait? We've diagnosed the structural flaw. We've seen the empty foundation of ignorance, the heavy facade of conviction, and the collateral damage it causes to the neighborhood. Now, let's take a collective breath and pivot this explainer toward finding a real way to remodel and fix it.
Part 5. The Remodel. Cultivating Humility.
So the crucial point is that we don't have to be stuck with this architecture forever. It starts with a completely new blueprint. First, we must recognize the potential for ignorance. This is literally the very first swing of the sledgehammer against that facade. It requires honest and often really difficult self-awareness to admit that genuine ignorance might be underlying our own arrogance. To simply say, hey, I might not actually know the full complexities of this issue. That one simple admission, it changes everything.
Notice the beautiful contrast here, trading self-defeating arrogance for open-minded humility. When we replace an obstructive, intimidating facade with a genuine willingness to learn and grow, we open the doors and windows. We invite in personal growth, we foster real collaboration with our peers, and we finally allow critical thinking to thrive.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a somewhat provocative question. What structural flaws are hiding behind your strongest convictions? It is so easy to spot convicted ignorance in others, but true humility requires turning the mirror on ourselves. So the next time you feel absolutely, unconditionally certain about something, take a moment to inspect your own foundation. Are you standing on genuine knowledge or just the comfortable facade of strong conviction? Thank you so much for joining me, and always keep questioning what you know.